DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. So this is a brief story about my high school tryouts background. Might not be brief. So, ninth grade, I tried out for the basketball team in high school. And my ninth grade, when I was in ninth grade, the basketball team at my school was really good. I'm from Philadelphia. I went to this high school called Engineering and Science, or ENS, and most people in Philly know it as. That year, when I was in ninth grade, it was a senior on the team by the name of Lynn Greer. He was a guard. He was probably about 6 feet tall at the most. Real quick guy. He was not even that super quick, but pretty quick. He was left-handed. He had a real good outside shot. That was his skill. He had a great outside shot. He had a really solid ball handling skills, and he was good at like shaking guys off with his handle to open up space for his shot. So he'd shake a guy off with a quick little crossover and then hit a three-pointer in his face. That was his skill. Real quiet dude, but really good. So Lynn Greer was the guy that year, and everybody knew Lynn Greer was the man. He ended up going to Temple University, and he was basically a 4-year starter at point guard. He played overseas for a long time. He played in the NBA for 1 season with the Milwaukee Bucks, and he pretty much sat on the bench the whole year. And then he was overseas, then he went to the Bucks for 1 year, and then he went right back overseas. I think he's retired by now. But anyway, Lynn Greer was the man that year. And they also had that season 2 juniors, one guy named Will Chavis, another dude named John Cox. And they both ended up being like future D1 players. Will Chavis went to Texas Tech and New Hampshire, and John Cox went to, I think, University of San Francisco. He's actually, incidentally, cousins with Kobe Bryant. He kind of looked like Kobe a little bit too. So they had a really talented squad my freshman year. So I tried out for the basketball team freshman year, and I got cut on the first day of tryouts. It wasn't even no question. I wasn't even close to making the basketball team. I was very nervous. I didn't even have that much skill really back then, so I didn't make the basketball team. So my sophomore year, I don't even really remember much about the tryouts my sophomore year, but again, I didn't make the basketball team. And I wasn't even that alarmed about it, because I figured, all right, I'm only in 10th grade. I didn't make the team my first 2 years, but I still got 2 years left. At my high school, I come from a Philadelphia public school. A lot of the high schools in the city don't have JV basketball teams. Not all of them. Some of them do, but some of them don't. And my school didn't have it. We had not a lot of staff, so there wasn't anyone to coach a JV team. So we didn't have no JV. So I didn't make the team 9th grade, 10th grade. 11th grade, I was probably, when we had tryouts, I think I was about age 16. And by that time, I could dunk. I could dunk if I had like a good little running start. If I could get some momentum, I could probably get a dunk. So I'm like, all right, if I get a dunk in tryouts, everybody gonna remember that, and I'm gonna impress the coach, and I'll make the team. So all I gotta do is get a dunk and just show my athleticism, and I'll make the team. And I had been playing on some local teams, playing a lot of pickup ball in the neighborhood. So I was feeling confident, like I'm gonna do my thing. So when we had tryouts 11th grade, I had to guard this dude who was a senior. And he was like my height. We was pretty much the same height, but he was way stronger than me, because this is before, if you saw the video where I talked about how I started strength training, at this point I hadn't even ever started lifting weights before. So he was stronger than me. So he just kind of muscled me, and he was just getting down in the post. Even though he wasn't much of a scorer, he was getting such great post position on me, he was just scoring on me. So this dude scored like 8 points in a row on me in front of everybody. And this year in tryouts, of the 4 years that I tried out, the only year that we did half court was that year, the junior year. So that year, instead of doing a full court, because the coach would just roll the ball out and we would just play full court, and whoever he liked would make the cut. That's pretty much how it worked. There was no drills, no skill assessment, none of that. It was just roll the ball out and play. And if you do good, you make it, and if you don't, you don't. It was just that quick. But that year, for whatever reason, he decided I'm going to just do half court and watch people play 3-on-3. I'm going to pick the players that way. I guess he thought that'd be a better way to kind of assess who could play and who couldn't. So we were playing half court, and everybody's sitting there watching. There's only 6 guys on the court, and this dude scores on me like 8 times straight in front of everybody. And it was interesting for everybody, not only because he was scoring on me, but because this guy wasn't even a scorer. He was like the garbage man on the team. Not garbage isn't not good, but garbage man isn't like guy who does the dirty work, grab rebounds, set screens, give hard fouls, stuff like that. So him scoring a whole bunch of points was something that never happened. And even in the games in the season, he might score 2 or 4 points in a game. So him scoring all those points on me was a big deal for everybody. It was like funny to everybody. And then him scoring it on me, it wasn't funny to me. It was embarrassing to me. So I didn't make the team my junior year. So my senior year finally came around, and that year was the exact same thing. I knew how tryouts worked, and I knew going into that year, like, all right, this is my last shot. Like, I've invested a lot mentally, emotionally into thinking that I can do something in basketball. And my junior year, I played in a rec league. After I didn't make the team in school, I went and played in a local rec league, and I did pretty good on that team. I was probably our leading or second leading scorer. I started having a coach like call plays for me. I was a guy who people looked to and said, all right, Dre's going to do something. Like, we depend on him to do something so we can win. And I was delivering, so I had a lot of confidence. So coming into that last year, I'm like, all right, I got to at least make the team once in high school. How I'm going to go 4 years and go 0 for 4 making the basketball team? I got all this confidence and don't make the team for 4 years. So I was like, this is all or nothing. I have to make the team this year. So going into tryouts, my mentality was, all right, I know how tryouts work. I know that all the coach is going to do. His name was Brown. His name was Charles Brown. And to this day, he still coaches at ENS, at least last I checked. I said, I know all he's going to do is roll the ball out. We're just going to play either 5-on-5 or 3-on-3, maybe half court, maybe full court. I was like, it don't matter. I know I got game no matter which way we play. I know I could show my game. I was even more athletic by this point. So I was like, yeah, I know if I can get a dunk or something, that would definitely impress, especially if I dunk on somebody. And I know I was as athletic as anybody else in that school at that point. I just needed an opportunity to show it. So I'm like, all right, cool. All I got to do is go in there and do my thing. I know I'm better than most of these dudes in here. And I was thinking the same way a lot of you think. I think listening to some of your questions, I'm looking at the people who was on the team last year. So I was like, all right, these guys, the seniors, they gone. So I was like, all right, so this dude came back, him. So I'm counting all the dudes who came back from the team the previous year. So I'm like, all right, it's like 7 or 8 dudes coming back. So then, since it's 12 people on the basketball team, let's just say 12, only 4 people are going to make it. So I'm thinking of all the people in the school who are going to try out. So I'm like, all right, out of all these dudes trying out, it can only be 3 of them better than me. And then if I'm the 4th guy, then I make the basketball team. So out of all these guys, are there no more than 3 guys who could possibly be better than me? And I'm looking around, I'm like, all right, maybe he'll make it because he's tall. Or he might make it because he made it a couple years ago, then he didn't make it. Or he might make it because he's athletic or he can shoot. So I'm like, all right. Looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can make this team. I know I can make this team. I just got to outplay these guys. And if I had to go up against one of the players who was on the team last year, even better. Because if I play against one of them, like let's just say if we get in tryouts and the coach matches me up with some other dude who wasn't on the team before and I outplay that guy, it'll look one way because it's like, all right, so you outplayed the dude who wasn't on the team anyway, so I'm not even sure if that means you're good because you outplayed the dude who wasn't on the team. But if I outplay a guy who was on the team, you match me up with somebody that was getting in the games last year, and I outplay him, then it's like, all right, this dude Dre can actually play. I'm thinking the way the coach might be thinking. So I'm like, all right, this dude Dre might be actually able to play because he just outplayed my backup power forward from last season. So I got to put Dre on the basketball team. So we get the tryouts, and this year the coach does it completely different again. This time he's like, all right, we're gonna do 3-on-3 full court. So instead of 3-on-3 half court like the year before, we doing full court. So we get out there for the 3-on-3 full court, and it was me and there was 2 guys who was juniors. One of them actually ended up making the team, and one of them did not make the team. So he was like, all right, I want you to on the wing, you be the big guy, and you bring the ball up. I was like the wing guy. So he told one of the other dudes, bring the ball up. He said, you play the wing, me. And then we had another dude who was like 6'9", and he made the team that year. And he was like, all right, you be the big. So the 3 of us get out there, and we was part of the first group. It was us 3 against 3 dudes who made the basketball team the year before. So I'm like, all right, this is it. This is perfect. Right here, we the first group. Everybody's watching. Everybody's nervous. If I do something good here, this is going to seal the deal. So I'm matched up with this dude named Arnold. He was a senior. We was both in the same, like we had a lot of classes together. He knew who I was. I knew who he was. We was about the same size. We was both about 6'3", both had long arms, both athletic. But I knew I was better than him. He had been on the basketball team the year before. He had actually transferred to my school from a different school as a junior, and he went straight to the basketball team. It was word that he basically came to the school to play basketball. I don't know if he did or not, but he was on the team. So I'm like, all right, I'm matched up with this dude. I know I'm better than this dude. We about to get on the court. I'm going to prove it. I knew I had more handle than him because he was like a center pretty much. He was pretty much a center, a 6'3" center. And me, I knew I had all-around game. I knew I could handle it, I could shoot it, I could drive, I could score inside. I knew I had more game, and I was like, I just got to prove it when it matters right now. This is one thing to think you got game in your head, and to do it when you on the court by yourself is another thing to do it when it matters, when everybody's watching. So we get on the court, and the first time they got the ball, they bring the ball up, and Arnold is like, he sees me, so he's like, oh, it's Dre. I could score on Dre. Dre ain't shit. I'm going to score on Dre. This is what I'm thinking that he's thinking. He didn't say this. So he sees me, and he tries to post me up. So he, like, posts up, and he's, like, in the paint, and he's calling for the ball, like, yo. So they throw him the ball, and I knew that Arnold didn't really have no moves like that. He wasn't really a skill guy. He was, like, a long, athletic dude, like, block shots, get some dunks, get some rebounds. He wasn't a dude who's going to score a lot of points. He might score 4, 6, 8 points in a game and get you 6, 7, 8 rebounds. That's the kind of player he was. So I was like, this dude is not going to score on me. So he gets the ball in the post, and the first he takes like one dribble. He don't do no kind of fake or nothing. He just turns around and tries to shoot a shot on me. And as soon as he turns around and shoot a shot, like I stuffed the shit right back in his face. I blocked the shot right back in his face. And all the dudes who had been on the team the year before, they was on the sideline watching. It was like, oh! And everybody was going crazy because I had blocked this shot. And then I came down, like I made a couple layups, scored some points. But it wasn't even what I did on offense. It was that one play, the first play of tryouts, when I blocked that shot, that I know I impressed the coach, because this is a guy who he already trusted to be good, and I just stuffed this dude's shot back in his face. And of course, any basketball team, a coach, guards are easier to find than bigs. And at that point, I was quote unquote a big man, because he's 6'3", he was a power forward, and I'm the same size as him. So he's like, all right, he could guard my power forward, my starting power forward that year. If I could guard him, then I could at least be an emergency big man in worst case scenario on the team. So that one block shot, that one play on defense is pretty much, I don't even know this for a fact, but I ended up making the basketball team. I think that one play was what got me on the team, because the coach, the impression that you make on people, oftentimes if you show people a lot of things, they see a lot from you, usually they remember like 1 or 2, maybe 3 at the most things that you do. They call it the proximity and the recency effect. The primacy and recency effect. The primacy effect means people remember the very first thing, the very first impression they get of you. And you know how people say first impressions are, what do they say? First impressions are lasting, or you can't forget a first impression. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. That's the phrase. The first impression that people get of you, is hard to erase that first impression. So when I blocked that shot, that was the coach's like first impression of me. Like, wow, who is this dude? He just blocked my power forward shot. I got to get him on the team. And the recency, I don't know what the last thing was I did, but like I said, that first thing that I did was the play that sealed the deal for me. So that's my 4 years tryout story of basketball in high school, how I finally made the team by blocking somebody's shot. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.